From downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
We are not officially under a drought, but it is getting awfully close. Find out how long we're going to have to wait to get some water in southeast Michigan.
All right, Ben. An armed robbery suspect manages to break free and escape while in police custody, but he didn't get very far.
But first, a woman's action sends neighbors running for cover in the middle of their fireworks celebration. Good evening. Tonight, those neighbors who say the woman intentionally drove over lit fireworks.
It caused almost 50 children and adults to run to safety. It happened off Fernwood, just off Gratiot in Roseville. That's where Jamont Terry is live with the neighbors who want police to investigate this matter, and I can understand why, Jamont.
Kimberly, Roseville police were called because those on the block believe this woman who ruined their fireworks display did so with malice. Now, despite people clearly setting off fireworks in the streets, they tell me that car did not stop and this woman endangered everyone around. The buzz on Fernwood off Frazier in Roseville isn't about the great fireworks display Gregory Solomon and his family put on. Instead, everyone's talking about the neighbor down the block.
I just seen a car come flying down the street.
Witnesses say that car sped up, aiming right towards this box of rocket launchers.
She knew what she was doing. We were standing in the street. If I would have told my grandson to get out the middle of the street, she would have hit him.
Instead, the car ran over the lit fireworks in the middle of the street.
Boom, hit the box, dragged the box.
And it sent the dozens of children and adults watching the show to run for cover.
They're flying and it looked like war zone as they're coming at you.
It went into the lady's house down the street.
Right there is where it hit.
The burn on Jolie Nolan's window shows how close the explosives came to hitting her children sitting on their porch.
Could have been deadly. It could have been, if one of them would have hit, if it would have hit my kids instead of the window.
I'm more mad about what she put on social media.
That neighbor on Facebook said, "Yes, I'm the expletive who ran over your fireworks and made y'all run for cover. Maybe next time you'll have more consideration for the people driving down the street." She added, "The pissed off look on my neighbors' faces, so worth it." Solomon is furious but insists,
if something would have happened to one of my grandbabies, y'all wouldn't be out here talking about no fireworks. Y'all be out here for a whole different ball game.
And while Solomon's immediate family members, his grandchildren, were not injured, I'm just learning that there were apparently some younger children that had some burns to their faces and also their hands that were in this area. Those parents are telling me that they will go to the Roseville Police Department in the morning and file a report. Now, I talked to the chief of police here in Roseville. Chief Berlin says that driver is just fortunate she didn't injure anyone seriously, but also she's lucky her own car didn't catch fire when those sparks flew from underneath. For now, reporting live in Roseville, Jamont Terry, Local 4.
Okay, Jamont, we do have some breaking news just into the newsroom in Novi. Right now, police there are investigating this. A Novi police officer has just been injured in a crash. These are live pictures from the scene on 8 Mile and Haggerty. The police cruiser and another car collided. We're told both drivers have been taken to the hospital. There's no word yet on their conditions. Again, this is happening on 8 Mile and Haggerty in Novi. A police officer has just been injured in a crash. As we learn more information, we'll pass it along to you.
Also breaking tonight, Representative Steve Scalise has been readmitted to the intensive care unit over concerns of an infection. Scalise was shot in the hip last month during practice for a congressional baseball game in Virginia. He was moved out of ICU and upgraded to fair condition late last month. But the hospital announced today he is back in ICU and in serious condition. They are expected to release more information tomorrow. Ann Arbor Road has just reopened between Main Street and Sheldon Road. The road was closed as firefighters battled a building fire. That fire was caused when a wire sparked and then set some grass on fire. Eventually, a deck on that building caught fire. Half of the building is destroyed and part of the roof collapsed. Fortunately, no one was inside and there were no injuries.
An armed robbery suspect is back in custody tonight after escaping from police on Detroit's west side. The 24-year-old man was arrested in the afternoon during a warrant sweep. While being processed at the 6th precinct, he was able to get loose, break out of his flex cuffs, and lead police on a foot chase. Officers found him just before 8 p.m., a few blocks from the precinct.
We are just hours away from Macomb County officials updating work on the Frazier sinkhole. Tonight, Mara McDonald is live in Frazier. And Mara, what do we expect to hear from Public Works Commissioner Candace Miller tomorrow?
Karen, how about some good news out here about this sinkhole for a change? Let me explain what's happening. You know, ever since this thing opened up on Christmas Eve, it has been nothing but temporary fixes out here in order to prevent further collapse, further flooding, and further problems out here. Well, tomorrow morning, Candace Miller, bright and early, is going to be out here to announce that the final fix is now underway. You see, the pipes that are required to come in here and fill this thing, all 3,700 feet of what has, collapsed here, they've started to arrive. They are coming in 20-foot sections. Installation of those pipes should start potentially as early as tomorrow, but Miller is going to update everybody out here on what the construction schedule looks like and what people can expect. So far it has been a rough road to hoe out here. A lot of businesses have suffered. You have a retirement home out here. You have homes out here. People have lost their homes. It's been sort of a nightmare to get around, but I think what Candace Miller is going to be able to tell everybody tomorrow is that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that the final replacement pipes are on the way, and that the temporary work out here to do the temporary fix, well, that's over. It's time for the permanent solution. So we're live in Frazier tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
Well, some folks out there are definitely looking for some good news. We appreciate that. Thank you, Mara.
The Kwame Kilpatrick get out of prison saga continues as the former mayor asks yet another judge to throw out his sentence. This time Kilpatrick is claiming he never committed extortion, bribery, or racketeering while serving as mayor. He's also claiming he didn't have a fair trial because of media attention. It's not likely that the judge will overturn the guilty verdict. Kilpatrick was convicted in 2013 and is serving a 28-year sentence.
The Flynn terror suspect was back in court today where he faced a second indictment that could send him to prison for life. 49-year-old Arbor was charged with interfering with airport security, which carries a life sentence. He was previously charged with committing an act of violence in an airport. While in court, Fatui was heard repeating Allah Akbar before being arraigned. The judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. In just hours, Floyd Galloway, the man named a person of interest in missing 28-year-old Danielle Stislicki's case, will be back in a Livonia courtroom. The 30-year-old faces sexual assault and kidnapping charges after an attack that happened last September at Hines Park. Tomorrow's court appearance will be for that case.
President Trump is spending the night in Poland for the first leg of his G20 summit trip. The president will give a speech tomorrow in Warsaw before heading to Hamburg, Germany for the summit. On Friday, he's expected to meet face-to-face with Russian President Vladimir Putin for the first time as president. The U.S. National Security Advisor says the president has no agenda for that meeting. Well, you heard them last night and you probably heard them again tonight. We're talking about people setting off fireworks in your neighborhood.
Lots of people like them and lots of people complain about them. Well, now a new petition aims to put an end to it for good. It calls for a repeal of the 2011 law allowing residential fireworks around holidays. It needs 30,000 signatures to be presented to the state legislature and Governor Snyder. So far, organizers have more than 27,000.
Speaking of fireworks, hundreds of families have their Independence Day holiday just ruined.
What happened at a big fireworks celebration that had organizers apologizing to everyone who attended?
Why an airline forced a mother to give her son's paid seat to a standby passenger. That's coming up too. Hi, Ben.
Kim, we will be starting out tomorrow morning pretty close to average, but we're going to hit our average high at lunchtime, and we've still got some heat to go through in the second half of the day. A much more summer-like forecast coming your way next.
Protecting your pets from pills, why some medications can do much more harm than others.
There are a lot of just dangers in your house.
Important information for you, your family, and your pet. It's a Help Me Hank special report right after the break.
Coming up Thursday morning, only on Local 4 News Today, we've got your weather and traffic as always on the 4s. The big question, will we be for 4 this week with a forecast? We've got the answer for you. Hank?
You're out of town, the newspapers and packages are piled up, and the thieves know it. Now security experts revealing how to keep your home safe. It's a Help Me Hank special report tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m.
Plus, we've got all the top stories and breaking news to start your day when you join us tomorrow morning from 4:30 to 7 a.m. Detroit mornings start here.
I was absolutely terrified.
Her beloved family pet got into something we take to feel better, but for dogs, it can be deadly.
They weren't sure if he'd make it through the night.
Pets are not people. Many of the drugs we take to feel better can make them very, very sick, even kill them.
Consumer investigator Hank Winchester spoke to one dog owner who has a very important warning.
We love our pets. They're members of the family. And when they're not feeling well, you'll do almost anything you can to help them feel better. But giving them medications intended for humans, well, it could do a lot more harm than good.
Who wants a treat?
Cooper and Louie are two happy, healthy, and loved Labrador retrievers.
Oh, they're definitely family. They go wherever we go. They sleep on our beds.
Their owner, Cindy Klott's, grateful because she nearly lost Cooper after he got into a bottle of ibuprofen when no one was home.
We got home, we saw that there was a bottle of ibuprofen on the floor, and it had been in a backpack.
Cooper got out of his crate and he found the pills.
Took a big bottle of ibuprofen out, and he likes to play with toys, so if you shake that, it makes a noise. So he had the ibuprofen in his mouth, but his teeth went through it, shook it, till some ibuprofen fell out on the ground. And I knew that ibuprofen was dangerous for dogs.
Cindy raced Cooper to the vet to be treated, but
unfortunately the next day, Cooper wasn't doing so well. And by that evening, he started throwing up. So we had to take him immediately to the emergency room. It was about 11 o'clock at night. When we arrived, we were told he was in second stage kidney failure, and they weren't sure if he'd make it through the night. But the hospital put him on IVs and gave him a bunch of medicine, and after about 6 days, he was doing better.
Cindy now takes both of her dogs to Dr. Michael Petty at Arbor Point Veterinary Hospital. He says dogs should never be given ibuprofen.
Even if they recover, there's the possibility of lifelong impairment of the kidneys.
Or they could die.
Or it could die. The only time that you should ever give your dog a pain medication is if it's both being prescribed and monitored by your veterinarian.
Dr. Petty says some pet owners want to give their dogs or cats human drugs. He says never without consulting first with your vet.
I always like to say that dogs and cats are not small humans, and you can't really expect them to react or benefit from a drug in exactly the same way as a person would that would take the medication.
You can talk with your vet about whether antihistamines, Dramamine, or Imodium AD could be given to your pet, but remember this.
Get to the veterinarian first. Don't rely on Dr. Google, because something like 75 to 80% of all medical advice, both dogs, cats, and humans, is misinforming. It's wrong.
For Cindy, it's about reminding everyone in her home to keep the pills away from the dogs.
There are a lot of just dangers in your house. Ibuprofen, Tylenol, any kind of prescription medicine. Not only what do you have, but what do your guests have when they come in? And don't think because it's child safety that means anything. Bottles were closed. They were both child safety proof, but they bite through them.
If your pet should happen to find a pill or any medication intended for humans on the floor and eat it, well, the best thing to do is call your vet or the Pet Poison Hotline, which is available 24/7. I'm Hank Winchester. Help me, Hank.
Can be very
scary.
serious.
You think about the child safety locks, but that doesn't obviously make any difference.
None at all in this case, yeah. So for the top 10 human medications poisonous to pets, you can head to the Help Me Hank page on our website. Click on Detroit.com.
Meantime, here's a look at what Sandra Ali is working on for tomorrow night at 11.
A very special place created for boys and girls who share a unique bond.
It's really fun to see the friends that I've made there.
Started by a local family as a way to honor their loved one, whose memory now lives on through these young artists and their work.
Working through art, you get to express your feelings.
Tomorrow at 11, we're taking you inside this art camp.
To basically help families such as ours who are going through a very traumatic period of their lives.
You'll see what these campers are doing to really make a difference and how your son or daughter can join them too.
Gorgeous, gorgeous night. Don't you think it was like, oh, it's perfect?
Pretty perfect, though we do need the rain, but yeah, it's really nice, yeah.
Due time. Let's enjoy it while we can.
Enjoy it.
Right, and then the rain will come.
That's true. Our first shot at thunderstorms is really tomorrow night. It's just not real good, but it is going to be there. It's better than what we've got tonight, that's for sure. High pressure still in control, so that's what's kept mostly the clouds out of here as well. And those thunderstorms just don't want to cross that lake. They're still west of us and will stay that way tonight. When we get to this time tomorrow night, there is a slight, and that is the operative word, slight chance of a thunderstorm as we get into mainly this hour and overnight. But it, again, does not look good. I want to take you down to the tropics. This depression, we were watching this area of thunderstorms last week. It is now Tropical Depression 4. Now, even though this storm is expected to weaken over the next 5 days, notice this path is taking it pretty much right towards the U.S. It should completely disintegrate into a low pressure center by that point with winds of only 25 miles an hour. But that's Monday at 8 o'clock. So we'll be watching that just in case, because the models are kind of back and forth about what that storm's going to do. 71 is where we're at right now. We've got a south wind at 3. Pressure is still on the high side, which is keeping those clouds away, but didn't really do that today. We saw those very high, thin clouds that got a lot of pictures on storm pins of some very cool, very thin cirrus that have been hanging out there. Appreciate that shot. And we will be seeing, at least looking for thunderstorm chances tomorrow night. Again, at this time, maybe getting in some in here. I think the better chances are in our north zone, although this is the first model run that's really suggested that we could be seeing something a little bit further south. Nevertheless, once we get past that point, there will be a decaying line of thunderstorms come through. So just a slight shot that we could see something before dawn. Most of us getting nothing. The best chance is going to be Friday afternoon, but those are still going to be scattered. So there's a chance that more than half of us could end up with nothing as we go into the upcoming weekend, which will be dry, by the way. Temperatures spiking tomorrow, but the numbers going back down to the humidity decreasing again for Saturday and Sunday. 63 tonight. We'll call it mainly clear as we look at high temperatures tomorrow. A little bit different than what we've been used to in days past. We'll hit 90 in a couple spots, especially out in West Bloomfield, Livonia. Officially, I think we'll be at 89 at the airport. South zone temperatures, couple 90s down here too. Otherwise, mid to upper 80s. Toasty in our west zone, 88 in Howell, 89 in Novi, and in our north zone, still all 80s, but just slightly cooler than what we're going to see elsewhere. As far as the other chances of rain go, once we get into Tuesday, it looks like could see a shower or a thunderstorm at that point. Temperatures are doing okay. I don't think anybody's going to complain about that, but those lawns are getting crispy, so it would be nice to get some rain in here. Unfortunately, those shots just don't look all that good.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Ben. Well, we can guarantee you've never seen a police chase like this. A shirtless man in a tractor trying to speed away from officers.
We'll have that coming up, and they've done it again. United Airlines taking heat for what they did to a toddler on board. Next.